Hello and welcome to the Russ Rants podcast. Man, am I super excited to have you today. This whole platform is designed on open conversation, safety, and self-improvement. That's what this whole thing is about, is giving you the tools and ideas to make yourself better, and thus helping people around you be better. I hope that today's episode inspires you to think for yourself, to think for others, and to maybe adapt and add some extra things to your life that equip you to win. Without further ado, here's the rant. Enjoy. Can I be very honest with you all? Hi again, by the way, and welcome to the Russ Rants podcast. Long overdue edition. Let's call it that, shall we? Let's call it the long overdue edition. And my goal today is to, as usual, try to keep it short and probably fail to do so. But there's been, it's kind of more of an update day, because I know a lot of you guys haven't heard from me, and I've realized that I've been a very terrible communicator. Ironically, I know a lot of you enjoy my content for my communication style, and that's never been lost on me. Again, I want to just express gratitude about that. But I've ironically just been a really terrible communicator with my goals, and a really terrible communicator with how I'm trying to achieve those goals, and what that involves, and the type of process I'm going through. But recently I've decided that I'm going to try something a little bit backwards, and I'm open to your suggestions. I'm open to your ideas. But yeah, as this podcast has gone on again, off again, and I've been streaming, I realize that there's a whole community here that's not impatient and not desiring me to give them updates every 30 seconds. But I realize that I've kind of left y'all hanging out to dry. Whether you feel that way or not, it's not fair to you to not properly fill you in on where I'm at. So let's start off fresh again, shall we? So again, welcome to the Russ Rants podcast. The only idea I had in mind today was to check in with you. It is May, is where I land with this podcast episode, a full month, maybe even more than a full month since the last Russ Rants recording we did with my special guest, Ajit Oman. You can check him out on any major podcast platform or on YouTube, I believe. I hope I uploaded it to YouTube. That's youtube.com, and search up Russ Rants, and you'll find the podcast episode there with my good buddy, Ajit. Okay? Checking in now in May. We are almost halfway through 2021. Isn't that incredible? It's incredible to me how life can catch a certain rhythm, and whether you're comfortable in that rhythm or not, time flies by. And that's kind of where I find myself today. It's one of those free days where I have a bit of time on my hands, and I'm grateful to have such. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do with my free time? I want to rest, but yet there's this nagging in my soul. There's this nagging in my being that I want to reach out to you who have been sticking with the Russ Rants podcast since its inception, late 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and check in with you all. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. I've been streaming consistently every Wednesday and Sunday on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/RussRants. I know you've heard it before, but going to get it in there for you. And it's been really good. It's been really good. I have a new gaming computer that has just opened the world up to the games that I used to play of old. I'm a first-person shooter kind of guy, and if you're not really into games, all that means is I like gun games. I like games with shooty shoot in it, and it's been a unique experience. I still feel like that's a part of the community I really want to reach. But honestly, for this platform and for the Russ Rants podcast, I know that I've let it die for a bit. And I think I've mentioned before that it's a season that I'm going through where I feel more emphasis and purpose on the platform of streaming than on the platform of the podcast. But now this is an opportunity for you to provide feedback. Okay, this is an opportunity because the problem is that with this type of podcast platform, a part of my attraction to Twitch was that I liked the live interaction. I liked hearing from people as they heard it and reacted to it. Now, I get that a podcast is more of a when you can enjoy kind of concept, and that is definitely a pro of the podcasting method, is that you can enjoy it in the car, you can enjoy it at work, you can enjoy it at nighttime, you can enjoy it wherever you want, whenever you want. You don't have to worry about missing me. You get to converse with me, even though it's a one-sided conversation for the podcast. You get to talk with me whenever you are able to fit it in, and I see that as a huge benefit. But I'm looking for your feedback because on my end, I have an inner conflict. It's on my heart today, and I got to express it. Because I know that I've scared people in the past. They're like, Russ, are you okay? Are you a workaholic? Are you mentally okay? Yes, I am. I'm doing quite okay. But this is just one of those days where you feel it a little bit more than others. So today I want to continue to talk to you about purpose and balance, and sometimes no news is good news. What do I mean by that? Well, you guys might know that a dream of mine is to continue to be a communicator, one who connects, influences, encourages, and inspires people. And not because I'm such a great role model, but because, as I've said before, I want to be your biggest cheerleader. If I know that in my life, even a handful of people who had heard my message or gotten to know me felt like they wanted to chase more and do things that they alone could do, and they helped change other people's lives, I would be fulfilled. That's just something that's been on my mind, where I'm not trying to change the world by myself. I want to help others change the world, and thus I'm changing the world through them. And I've hit a bit of a wall. Streaming is not the issue. I enjoy every time I stream. I enjoy every time I log in and get to talk with chat. Just so you know, if you haven't been hanging out with the Twitch stream, that's totally fair. Like I said, I get that it's a live event and you guys have lives, and it just maybe doesn't work for you, or maybe it's not your preference, and that's okay. Some of you have expressed that, but very honorably. And you just said, hey, man, I still support you, but, the streaming thing is just not my bag. No problem. That's why we have different flavors for everybody, right? But aside from that, it's the method of spreading the message. And I have this burden. I tend to really beat myself up. A few episodes ago, let's use that terminology. A few episodes ago, I talked about the inner critic and the inner compassionate self-talk, and how important it was to make sure that they were in balance. The inner critic tries to prevent you from failure, from pain, from collapse, but it doesn't give you suggestions. It just points out to you what you're doing wrong, or what it thinks you're doing wrong. And then the inner compassionate self-talk is a desperately needed voice to say, hey, man, cut yourself some slack. You're actually doing a really good job. Cut yourself some slack. It's not the end of the world. This is what the good things are that you're doing. These are the good things that you have on the go, and you're not seeing it because you're too busy listening to the inner critic. Think of it as having a dinner party with yourself, and the really loud, boisterous, obnoxious person sitting across from you who's very opinionated, telling you all the things you're doing wrong, and they're the loudest voice in the room. That's the inner critic. Whereas the, inner compassionate self-talk is kind of like your mom or your dad, if you had good relationships with them. If you didn't have good relationships, it's like your best friend, where they put their hand on your shoulder and say, I know what he's saying, but it's not true. The majority of it is you're doing a really great job. He's just really nitpicky, so cut yourself some slack, right? And it's really hard to turn off that switch of the inner critic because you panic. Well, I'm going to tell you guys right now, pardon me, I'm not panicking, but I feel like I'm letting down the model that I so desperately want, right? It's like I want to have my cake and eat it too. It's another shout back to a really great episode with Lynn and Bird, my brother, a few years ago, where I want to pursue my passion, and I see these people on TikTok and YouTube doing tutorials on even how to properly pursue your media passion. You must post on social media X times a day. You must edit videos and do highlights and post on social media. Do all the right hashtags and make sure you're engaging with your audience. And can I tell you something that's been on my mind the last few months? And the downside is I really feel no desire to play social media that way. And that's kind of where I'm wanting your advice, because I feel like I want to be online. I want to connect with people, but I don't want to go about it the way that pretty much 99.5% of the population is going about it. Over, what's the right word? Oversaturation. of content. Get TikToks out there. Get Instagrams out there. I even had like a chart on my wall saying, 3 times a week post on TikTok or Instagram. 3 times a week do this. And I'd have goals set. And I did that for a few weeks, actually. I'm task-oriented. I've told you that before. I'm task-oriented. And I would try to accomplish them. But at the end of the week, I'd feel, if anything, more exhausted and less inspired to make more content than anything before. And it's gotten me stuck because I love Twitch streaming. And heck, to a degree, just so you know, I like podcasts. I love podcasting. I love talking about stuff with meaning. Yeah, I know that some guests might have caught you guys off guard, but I also love interviewing people. I love learning their stories and hoping that some portion of their content can come to you and be like, guys, hey, this is something on my mind. What do you think? Does this click for you? Is this something that causes you to pause and consider anything? Does this give you any ideas on how to move forward? Does this help you out? I don't know if it helped me out, but maybe it helped you out. And you guys have mentioned how some podcast guests, their stories were fantastic, or the points of view were really interesting, or maybe you didn't even necessarily agree with them, but you were grateful for their information. You were grateful for their context and their content and their tone and their cadence. And that's what I love. I love the engagement. But then as a father of 3, and I just want to let you guys know this, by the way, it's probably common knowledge now, but just in case, my wife and I are expecting our 4th child. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. We're expecting our 4th child. Little baby bird is coming right at you guys in October. And I'm sleepy. I'm tired, guys, and I'm looking on social media about all these people who are grinding, right? Their side hustles, and I get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and entrepreneurs and millionaires don't really sleep, and they read 10 books a day, and I'm being facetious now, obviously, but my point is, like, I see all these people doing the things that I've been taught and shown I need to do. And when I myself try to do them, I'm in danger of stepping away from the platform completely. Does that make sense? I am. If I try to do everything that I set down in my to-do list, and I try to do it the way that they preach to me to do it, because that's really what they're doing, is they're ambassadors. They're preaching online to you, right? And if I do that, I burn out. I do. So you guys know this. And again, the inner critic used to be the loudest voice in my life, where I was like, there's no reason, I'm a failure. Why am I getting burnt out? And then thankfully the compassionate self-talk came in and said, dude, you're a husband and a father of 3 kids, soon to be 4. You got bills to pay. You got mouths to feed. You've got kids to take care of and inspire. I don't want to just be a humdrum dad. I want to be a great dad. I want to influence my kids. But they're my main priority, aside from my wife, who is the main priority, right? And then I find this conflict then with my personality where I really beat myself up when I want to rest. Like today, I'm already taking a chance, just by the way. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I really want to get off and rest for a little bit. But I'm pushing myself to do this because I want to reach out to you. And my question is, if you're a consumer, so am I, right? If you consider it, whether you're listening to this podcast, or you watch YouTube, or you watch Twitch, or you play video games, or you scroll on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you're a consumer. Consume, because what we're consuming is content. How do I do this? That is my big, big question today. Is I feel like I've got the work ethic, and yet I don't have the capacity right now to dedicate that work ethic just to this. Because if I do, I can sense it will get unhealthy, right? And that's another callback to another episode, putting a dent in the universe. Hey, all these podcast episodes are coming to mind. They're great times. I'm just getting really fond memories of some of the content that we've been able to go through. And that was about Steve Jobs. Another episode you can listen back to if you want as a refresher, right? Because there's a cost to that type of dedication. Guys, I have dreams of hitting another echelon, of being an entrepreneur. And at the same time, I don't feel yet the grace to kill myself to get there. And I don't think it's lethargy. I don't think it's laziness. I think the will is there, but the physical capacity is not. And I know that if I don't rest, if I don't give myself time to pat myself on the back, take a nap, game with friends, there is no Russell. There is no authentic Russ to come before you and give you content. And I would rather do sporadic podcasts like this and you guys maybe occasionally catch me on Twitch and know that there's a smile on my face, a genuine smile of enjoyment, and this is what I've thought of, then me putting everything into my to-do list and executing on it line by line for months at a time and having no soul left in me. That's my fear. I know I have the work ethic. I know I have the skills to do a lot of great things. And then I beat myself up because I have not done any great things. But then I forget, I had a great, real talk. I had a great conversation with my dad last week. He came to visit me at work, COVID safe, obviously. But we just had a chat. We sat down and 6 feet apart. And we were just talking, and he asked me how Twitch was going. And I said, it's going really good, Pops. I appreciate it. I love my friends. I'm having a great time. And the few that get to engage and choose to engage with me in the chat, I have a really great time. And I feel really satisfied when I end streaming at nighttime. I just wish it would grow. But, maybe it's not the time yet, or maybe I'm just not doing it right. And maybe just right now I'm just enjoying, honestly. And he said, that's fantastic. I'm really glad. And he said, what about the podcast? I'm just curious because I've heard a few. I really like that content. I said, yeah, I don't have that full of a cup to dedicate to both a podcast and a streaming. And streaming is live and it's 2 hours at a time. So it's a lot of energy. So, especially if I'm going to do, Twitch twice a week, I'd rather dedicate my energy right now to that. Not because I like one better than the other, but because I feel like that's where I should be. And he said, no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. He said, I just think you have the goods to really do something with your podcast. And can I be honest with you? It's like in the same instant when he said that, because I love my father and I take his compliments and his advice very seriously. He needs to know that. I felt two things immediately. The inner compassionate self-talk and the inner critic both almost fought over that statement of the podcast. The inner critic was saying, you've wasted a platform that you've built up for the last 2 years with faithful listeners. Hi, guys. By the way, hi, everybody. I shouldn't say guys. Hi, everyone who listens. I really appreciate you. So just nod your head and know that Russell is saying hi to you directly, okay? Thank you for supporting and listening to Russ Rants. So that's the inner critic is like, dude, you've wasted 2 years of this podcast. You've got people that subscribed to your podcast, and then you've done nothing with it. You just dropped it. But then the inner compassionate self-talk immediately rebutted and said, no, Russell communicated to his community over a year ago that he felt like he wanted to give a kick at the can with Twitch. And he properly let them in on that. He did a few episodes in between to also just keep the podcast going when he felt inspired to. And now he's gone into Twitch. But for some reason that really laid not a weight on me. It just made me think, what if? And how can? And why? So instead of taking this to an unhealthy place, instead of taking this to an unhealthy place of self-defeat or self-condemnation or guilt, I want to look at it the other way. I want to look at it objectively and be like, no, I'm very grateful for what I've had with the podcast. I'm very grateful for what I have with the Twitch stream. This is Russ Rants. It wasn't even, did you guys know that obviously the podcast, I was just like desperate to try something, right? And that's how I started the podcast. And I honestly had no other idea what to call the podcast. I just called it Russ Rants, honestly. I just called it Russ Rants. And now I'm almost nervous because I don't think I can shed that moniker because even on Twitch, it's Russ Rants. And, you got my awesome follower, Canned, or JB as I call him. We play Call of Duty a lot. He calls me Mr. Rants. So does Orden. Or does he call me Rants? Or Mr. Rants is Orden for sure. Anyways, all that trying to say is I've got this name that, I thought I was hoping for like a really cool name. I've got Russ Rants, and I'm like, it's kind of what my platform is. It's great. It's Russ Rants. It rolls off the tongue. It's not really creative, but it gets the job done, right? And so, anyways, back to what my dad has said to me. The what if? Am I barking up the wrong tree? Am I, and I've had some friends say to me, look, man, you don't have to change the whole world to be satisfied. And I said, I understand that. And I'm not trying to change the whole world in one shot or one go. I just want to do my part to change the world. I think that's really where I'm coming at, is I want to do my part to change the world. And am I doing the right things to do that? Because like I said, when I see people hustling and saying, I finally got my brand off the ground after 5 years of sleepless nights, all-nighters, consistently posting, and now I've got that following. And I think, man, if I had that following, could I do greater things? I don't know. I'm just being very honest with you guys. It's not that I'm demeaning your support, obviously. It's just something that's going through my mind is, am I doing the right things? Am I influencing the right people? And I don't know. It's just one of those things where today is such a short little hop in. Hey gang, how's it going? I haven't done this podcast in a while. It feels like riding a bike, though. I will tell you that, thankfully and comfortingly. It's not like rocket science. I feel very good. But growth is really, really important to me. And yet at the same time, whenever I've tried to do all the right things, all the right metrics, all the right models to ascertain growth, I've wanted nothing to do with these platforms anymore. And thus that my conundrum, which is, well, if I can't go that far yet, because obviously something inside me is like, don't do it, man. Don't kill the vibe. Don't kill the joy that this has given you thus far. Well, now do I just trust chance? Do I just trust that, if I can pump out a podcast every other month, occasionally just to check in and give you something to think about? Do I do that? And then streaming, I trust the relationships I've made on Twitch. They've been very amazing and satisfying, even just so you know, at the time of this recording on twitch.tv/RussRants, later tonight, we're going to be doing a Stardew Valley playthrough just with some friends. It's going to be very chill, but I'm hanging out with people. And to me, that is one of the highest forms of value is community, is hanging with people. So it's not like there's nothing deposited, and there's nothing like I'm ignorant or arrogant, thinking I'm not getting anything unless I have X hundreds or thousands of followers. That's not the point at all. The point is I want to do the right thing. And I've got a combating brain, a combating mind of two mentalities. One that says I'm not doing enough, and one says if you do too much, you're going to burn out and walk away. And I don't want to do that. I really don't want to walk away again. Not unhealthily. I've taken breaks and I've been grateful for it, and I've just hung out and gamed, and I guess that's where I'm at. So that's my question to you, Rants fam. Honestly, where would you want me to go? Well, Russell, if you decide to just let us tell you what we think, you might really despise our decision, or you might feel even more pressure unhealthily. I get that. But I also know that I trust you. I do. I trust a lot of you. And I, when you say to someone, like, I need a fresh set of eyes on this, think about like a homework assignment or an essay or a math problem, or at work, you're just looking at a problem. You're like, I've been staring at this screen for 2 hours and I can't make heads or tails of this. Can you just come in and take a look? And someone with a fresh perspective or a fresh mentality will look and be like, oh, yeah, there it is right there. Or, oh, well, here's my perspective on it. And you'll think, wow, I would have never gotten there. Honestly, thank you so much for your perspective. There's no way I would have seen it with your eyes. Like, that's phenomenal. And it saves you time, doesn't it? Well, that's what I'm doing. Perspective. I'm actually, just so you guys know, you might have seen it, but I am taking a break actually from Facebook and Instagram. I'm taking a break for this exact same reason, as I want to stay healthy for you guys. I want to stay healthy. Like I said, I'd rather have an authentic tired Russ, because I am tired. I'm about to yawn. That was for free, by the way. You're welcome. Just a nice little yawn singing for you. I'd rather have a tired, authentic Russ who wants to do a quick podcast episode than a burnt out, fatigued, or bitter Russ that's just doing the right thing. Wow, Russell's really pumping out the episodes, but yeah, Russell's got no soul, and I definitely don't want to listen to him anymore. See what I mean? Like, that's not a better win. Quantity over quality is only the best option in some business parameters and in some situations. But right now, it's kind of like, with the capacity I can give you and the energy I can give you, it's when I'm able to, I want to pop on and say hi. So there's no real inspirational topic today. There's nothing really burning on my heart and mind other than, am I doing the right thing? Well, Russell, are you just seeking validation? Are you just wanting people to compliment you? No. One of my main love languages is words. I think I've told you guys that before. But I'm open to advice. I'm open to suggestions. One of my good friends, Krogsta's, he's my buddy from Norway. He's my Norwegian, Viking, straight-talking, badass friend. Appreciate you, Krog. He's given me some really great sound advice over the last 6 to 8 months. just kind of helping me navigate my feelings, my emotions, how I feel about things, what I'm to do about them. And I would welcome you all to do the same. So now that I'm off social media for now, you can email me. I know. You guys are like, but fam, I do DMs. Well, you can actually DM me, I believe, through Instagram still, and I think Facebook Messenger. I have Facebook Messenger in case there's a few people that only reach me by Facebook Messenger. I think it should send me a message. I'm hoping it does. It might not, though. Actually, no, fact is I know it doesn't if I guess we don't know each other on Facebook. I don't know. It's a confusing thing. Email me is what I was going to say. russrantsreal@gmail.com. That's RUSSRANTZ, real, REAL, @gmail.com. Just your thoughts. I want more, and yet I'm tired. So I feel stuck. It's like the dreams and hopes I have to gain greater influence are stopped dead in their tracks by the realities of fatigue and what I actually can contribute to. It's very unique. So that's it. That's about a 25-minute podcast episode. Wow, is that a record? But I appreciate you all. I want to say that. I'm going to go rest now. I'm going to pop off for a bit. I'm open to your thoughts. Know that I do read your messages whenever you send them. I do appreciate you all when you tell me you've listened to episodes or when you even pop in on the stream. Okay? What's the right word? I don't need you to do those things because I feel like purpose-wise I can do them and I'm supposed to be doing them even without any feedback. But your feedback does mean the world to me. Continue to kick butt. Continue to strive. Continue to self-assess. Continue to build emotional intelligence within yourself because if you show mutual respect and honor to people in life, I do believe you will live a prosperous and satisfying life. Okay? Continue to do great things. Stay on it. I'm always rooting for you. Peace out from Russ Rants. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Russ Rants podcast. Your support is always appreciated. Should you feel so inclined, I would love it if you'd click that follow button or subscribe button, depending on which platform you're listening to this on. As always, you can also reach me on social media at Russ Rants. That's RUSSRANTZ on Instagram. Or if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns about the show, by all means, shoot me an email at russrantsreal@gmail.com. I will catch you later. Have a fantastic week and take care.